peaceful Shabbat. So I'm going to do a teaching today, and I'm a little nervous about this teaching, and not nervous about the teaching, but you know, I don't like to be in front of the camera, but that's fine. I have to do what Yah tells you to do. So I'm gonna do this teaching, this study that I did called Your Lot in Life. I did it in my women's Bible study, so I thought I would share it with everyone. And like I said, it's called Your Lot in Life, Fitting Comfortably in Your Position. So we all know about the story of Lot, Lot and Abraham, and that's what I'm gonna kind of, you know, emphasize on a little bit, and I'm gonna take a little, you know, little twists and turns here, and I'm gonna try to bring it all together. But fitting comfortably in your position, I know, you know, it's ministered to me first, because as everything Yah gives you, it ministers to you first, because maybe it's just something that you need to check on your, you know, in your life, or you know, something that is having to do with yourself or some situation or whatever. But I don't want to ramble on and on. So where should I start as far as the introduction? But I already did that. So the story of Lot. The story of Lot begins in Genesis chapter 13. My husband clicking on it. I don't know if y'all can see that. When they see that, can they see it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's right. Anyway, it starts in Genesis chapter 13, when Abraham was in Egypt, and he left out of Egypt, and him and Lot went back to the land of Canaan. And when they went back to the land of Canaan, well, when they left out of Egypt, they had an abundance of stuff, things, you know, material or livestock and wives, and you know, they just had, and because Lot was with Abraham, he was blessed because of it. You know, Yah saw fit to bless him by his attachment to Abraham. Let's see, where am I at? Okay, so as we know, they had to split because of how much that Lot had and how much that Abraham had. There was just a conflict of their herds being fed in the field. The inhabitants of the land of Canaan would come to Abraham, because Lot, if you would let his herds feed in their field, because of how many he had, and because they could not share the field, and it caused them to have to split. So Abraham was like, look over the land, and if you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left, because I cannot, you know, continue to have this conflict with the inhabitants of this land, and we're quarreling, your herdsmen with, you know, my herdsmen, they're quarreling. If you go to the book of Yasher, it kind of goes into, you know, the conversation more. It goes into detail. You know, Yasher and Genesis kind of, you know, they work together. I'll just say that they work together. So some things in Genesis you may not understand. You can go to the book of Yasher and look at some things in Yasher. It may not give a full detail, and you can go back to Genesis. It just gives a bigger picture of the story. So what happened was Lot, he looked over the land, and he looked over and he saw the field over there close to Jordan, and it was green, it was watered. So he's like, hey, I'm gonna choose that. That looks good, as green as water. I'm take my you know, stock over there, my livestock over there, and I'm gonna choose that part. And he went over there, and that was close to the land of Sodom. That was in Sodom. In Sodom. And I'm using him as an example, more so as to I'm bringing out some key points, you know, that kind of can be examples in our life, or kind of, you know, we can relate to, that goes on in our life. So he goes over to Sodom. As soon as he goes to Sodom, if you read in, I think, the book of Genesis or Yasher, I have to pull it up. Let me see. Is it Genesis?
Yes, I got it.
Right here.
Yep, Yasher.
Let's see. Let's go down. I'm not as technical as I'm not as technical as my husband when it comes to the computer. So can you scroll? Oh, there it is, the scroll bar.
Can you scroll? See? Can they see it at the same time? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So he goes over to Sodom. As soon as he leaves over there, Yah speaks to Abraham and says, I'm going to bless you. Look around and land to the east, the north, the west, the south. All this is going to be yours. As soon as Lot left. And what we know, if you check out the story, that the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah and other kings were quarreling. You know, they were quarreling, and they was going, you know, getting into a war, and they were fighting against each other. And Lot was over in there in the midst of that. And during the war, Lot got taken captive, got taken away, and Abraham had to come and rescue him and bring him back. You know, had to save him from what was going on. What? Oh, you want me to? Oh, what happened?
No, I just need someone to share it with other groups. Okay. But I can't share it because I'm in jail. I can only share in truth, godliness, and stay woke Israel. Here.
Oh, okay. So, just one moment. Sometimes I wish we had stuff to get that. Oh no, that's not it. Delete that part and enter. There it is. Okay. So, he got captured, and Abraham had to go rescue him from, you know, he took some soldiers and they went over and they retrieved Lot, you know, his nephew, because you know that Lot is Abraham's nephew from his brother Haran, who had died. If you read in the book of Yashar, they both got thrown in the fire. And Haran went with Abraham in the fire that got thrown in the furnace. Abraham was saved, Haran was not. He was burned up in the fire because his heart was not all the way with Yah. And so that's how Lot ended up with them. But anyway, so he went and he rescued Lot, and Lot went right back to Sodom. So in that, when I heard that, I thought about the first part when they were quarreling, and how Lot was like, well, I'll take this part of the land or whatever. And he, as we know, reading in the scriptures, that Lot was blessed because of Abraham. All the stuff that he had was because of Abraham. Yah saw fit to bless him because he was attached to Abraham. And in that, for me, you know, or if we can look at that, sometimes you can detach yourself from your blessings, you know, because of who you're connected to, because of where you're at, you know, Yah may bless you because you're in that, with that person, or, you know, or the area that you're in. And sometimes we think that, you know, hey, let me, since I'm blessed and we think that we're doing it all our own, let me just go a little further, or something that happens, some conflict, and then you have to end up leaving. So you end up detaching yourself from your blessing. Also, when Lot looked over, he saw the grass that was green over there, and it was all watered, and the grass looked green on that side. He looked like, you know, he would be blessed even more going over there. Even though the grass looked green on the side, it wasn't on that side. It wasn't all that green, because what happened? He ended up in Sodom. What happened? They went to war. What happened? He got captured, and Abraham had to protect him, had to go save him. He left from behind the walls of protection, the things that was keeping him safe, and went over to Sodom because of the quarrel, or because of what was going on with them having so much stuff, and which made him open for attack. It's like sometimes we'll leave out from under the protection of Yah, and, you know, unknowingly, a lot of us, and it leaves us open for attack. You want to say something about that?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so it leaves us open for attack. It leaves us open for the enemy. It's like, you know, there's a hedge of protection around us, or there's a gate around us, and we decide to walk out of the gate, and there is the enemy waiting. waiting to attack us, waiting to, we could fall into sin, we could fall into anything, from being under the protection of Yah. And even though you may be living righteously, wandering too far from Yah, it may cause you to be taken captive. And so this is what happened a lot. And Abraham had to go rescue him. And, a lot of times in our life, when when Yah comes and rescue us, we may fall into some type of trap or a captive by something. And sometimes in our life, a lot of us, once Yah rescue us, what do? We go right back. Just like Lot did. Lot went right back to Sodom after all the trouble that was going on there. He went right back. Yah had rescued him, but what did he do? He took his family and went right back into the place where the abomination and all the sin and everything else that was going on over there. And so he kind of, hey, I'm rescued, but let me go back. Let me go back over there now. Yah has rescued me, and I'm gonna go right back now. I feel safe. I feel like whatever happens not gonna happen anymore. But hey, he rescued him, and he decided, hey, I'm gonna go back. And which brings me to my next point. What happened? I'm gonna go a little further in the story. So there came a time, and we all know the story a lot, when Abraham got a visit from Yah, and he was going to see all the trouble he heard about Sodom and Gomorrah. He came down to see for himself, and he was going to destroy the city. Now, Lot was over in Sodom and Gomorrah. Yah was getting ready to destroy the city. He was not thinking about Lot being over there. He was not thinking about what was going on, or that Lot was attached to Abraham. But it was Abraham who interceded for the righteous over there. He said, Father, if it's 50, will you destroy the city if there's 50 righteous there? And he was like, no, if there's 50 righteous, I will spare the city, that those 50 or whatever. And so Abraham was interceding, and which brings me to my next point. Sometimes, while we're away from the protection of Yah, and Yah's getting ready to do a thing, who do we have interceding for us when destruction comes? Who is going to remember us? Who's going to say, hey, is there a righteous person out there praying for you while you're so far and you're taken captive by whatever is out there that is under the protection of Yah, where the enemy has pulled you to, or where sin is leading you, or just by association? Sometimes you could be associated with a person who is living unrighteously, and you're trying to live righteously, but when judgment comes, because you're caught up with that person, you're going to get destroyed too. So there was Abraham once again coming to the rescue of Lot, because Lot was in the city over there that was going to be destroyed, Sodom and Gomorrah. And which we're seeing how sometimes, when you detach yourself from things Yah has placed in your life, how different things can come in. The enemy's just waiting for your destruction, waiting for you to get destroyed. He's leading you away to get destroyed. Excuse me. Anything you want to say about it?
You want to get destroyed.
They can't see. They can't see.
Lead you away to get destroyed. I mean, it's a lot of that going on right now. There's too many things to actually say about that. A lot. In so many different ways. Keep going. It's good.
I thought you had something to say. In so many ways, just so many things I can say about that. So many ways. Okay. So Abraham interceded for Lot. So let's bring it to the present. So now we're all waking up to the truth. We're walking in Torah. We're following the laws and commandments and keeping the statutes, at least trying to the best of our ability. We're keeping the feast days. We're basically, by doing this, we're under the protection of Yah. So what happens when that day, that if you decide to, hey, well, I'm just gonna, do what I want to do. I'm just gonna move away and not really do what I need to do to the best of my ability. I'm gonna go over here because my family is you know, more important, or my friends is more important, and, you know, because I have to cut them off, you know, in my heart, I really can't cut them off. I really have to go over here and, you know, want to be a part of everything they have going on, even if it's a bunch of unrighteousness and foolishness. And when the time comes for y'all to say go, and you're not in the vicinity, you know, or you're not, you know, in the place of protection, and you're not able to hear, and there's no one who's looking out for you or interceding for you, or at least trying to bring you back, you're outside of the realm of safety. And when destruction comes, you're not able to hear y'all, and what happens? You're going to get destroyed along with those people that you put over y'all, your family, your friends, your kids, anything else that has drawn you away from things looking better on the other side, money, material possessions, anything, you know, job, career that looks way better than being under the protection of y'all, doing what y'all has told you to do. So when that time comes, y'all say get up and go, you can't hear when he says get up and go. And who's interceding for you? Is there a righteous person that is going to be interceding for you when that day comes? Are you going to be able to hear the voice of Yah? Or is what you're doing more important? Have you put that so far above keeping Yah's laws and commandments that you can't even hear anymore? You can't hear when the Ruach is speaking. So this brings me to my point, you know, brings me, you know, closer to my point, not to my point. So when they were getting ready to leave, right, and we know that Lot's wife and his kids and their daughter's son-in-laws was in the city. The angel went to warn them and tell them, hey, you know, let's go, because, you know, Abraham had interceded for them, and he was like, you know, you have anybody and any family in the city, let's go, let's leave. It was time to move. There was no time to hesitate. It was time to go. And so what happened with Lot's wife? So as soon as well, Lot went and told his son-in-laws. If you check in the book of Yasher, he went and told his son-in-laws, and they thought he was just joking. They didn't even listen. So who escaped? Lot, his wife, and his daughters. And when destruction came, what happened? Lot's wife, she looked back. She looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. And who escaped? Lot and his daughters. Everybody else was destroyed. And she looked back because she had compassion on her daughters. And this is in Yasher. Let me go to the book of Yasher so I can back this up for you.
There you go.
Oh, let me go down some. Oh, I can't go down. Wait,
You can. Let's scroll.
oh no, I hit all this right here. Does this have to be here?
What?
This right here.
Yeah, that's what's doing it.
Okay, can you just scroll it down? Because I'm trying to read it.
Right on the side. You read it now.
Okay, no. No. That's not what I'm looking for. Go down.
Would you look?
Go down. So I'm going to read this. Go down. What's that? Is that Yasher 16?
This is Yasher 16.
Okay, go down.
30.
That's it. Go to 19. I don't know if it's 19. I thought I wrote it in my notes.
Yeah, that's Yasher 16.
Okay, I'll just go on my thing.
We'll find it.
But anyway, while he's gonna find it. But anyway, I think so. Anyway, she looked back because she had compassion for those who were left in the city, which was her daughters. Her daughters was left in the city, and she looked back after Yah commanded them to keep going and not look back. And she was so torn because she had so much love for those who were left in the city, or her daughters that were left in the city, that it ultimately got her destroyed because she was looking back. It's Lot's wife, and I wrote here in my notes, Lot's wife looked back. Once Yah destroys the past that has held you captive, are you still holding on to the ashes? A double-minded man is unstable in his ways. It's like she was double-minded. Instead of, going the path that Yah told her to go, she wanted to hold on to the path. So hold on to the past so much that it got her killed. She didn't keep looking ahead. She was still caught up in what was going on behind her. There was nothing there but ashes and destruction. Nothing there was left for her, but she could not let it go. So she was double-minded. Her heart was torn. She did not fit comfortably in what Yah was telling her to do. She was not sure of herself. She wasn't sure of, oh, where am I going? Just everything I love is back there. It's being destroyed. What are we going to do now? Let me turn around. Let me look one last time. I can't believe this is happening. Not understanding that, if you keep your eyes on where Yah tell you to go, Yah, he, of course, has your future mapped out. So if she would have kept going, and we know she would not have been destroyed. Anything you want to say?
The things had her, like, she's like was caught up into what other people get caught up in prestige. It's like there was, so Sodom and Gomorrah was like your rich neighborhood, if you will. The ladies there, rich neighborhood. They had all the works, all the toys, everything. If you look in scripture, you see when Lot was there, you see a good land. It's land that looks green, it looks good, it was plush. It was like a place to be, like Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? It was literally like today's Hollywood or Las Vegas, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So it had that appeal to it. Everything goes. And, snobby people, but it was the most wickedest place on the face of the earth. And his heart was drawn to that. His wife was drawn to that. She rather, I guess, she wanted more pleasure than she wanted Yah. And that's what it boils down to.
It was like, it's like we have our love for our family members. It's going to come a time where you're going to have to leave your family members behind. It's going to come a time where you're going to have to leave your friends, your jobs, and everything behind. Are you going to continue to look back, or are you going to move forward to what Yah, has called you to do? Are you going to still squirm and in what Yah has called you to do? Are you going to surrender to what He has, for you? Are you going to just walk it out faithfully? Are you going to always be second guessing? Which if you're not which goes to my next point, if you're not completely comfortable with the position Yah has made for you, you will always look to the past for answers, and you will harbor anger, regret, disappointments. Your future will always look dull and gray, and the illusion of the past will seem greener. When you are not fully submitted to Yah's will for your life, how can you be the helpmeet? And this goes for the wives. And I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself. And this is what I'm thinking now. If, as a woman, and as a wife, what if, let's turn this, do a what if scenario. What if while Abraham and Lot was having a disagreement, or, quarreling about the land, what if Lot's wife, who truly could hear from Yah, or, was really walking in the Ruach Kadesh, she could look over and say, hey, babe, even though that land looks greener, I don't think that's the place to go. Let's go over maybe here or over there. Sometimes as a wife, if your husband is not listening, to the word, we could be the mouthpiece for Yah, to speak to him, to get him back on track. That's in 1 Peter 3, chapter 3, verse 1 through 4. Let's go there. Let's go to there right here, because my husband did a video on this before. Chapter 3. It said, likewise, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1 through 4. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning let it not be the outward adorning, of plaiting of the hair, and of wearing of gold, or of putting on of apparel. But let it be the hidden man of the heart, and that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of Yahuwah of great price. So let's say that, hey, he chose to go to Sodom, and she was like, I don't think that's the best place to go, babe, maybe we should, think this over with. I really don't, think this is, the right place. Maybe none of this would have taken place. Maybe, Lot's wife would still be around. Maybe, he wouldn't have suffered destruction of losing his son-in-laws and the other daughters, because only 2 of the daughters made it out. Maybe she could have been that mouthpiece. Maybe if she was submitted to the Ruach. A lot of us as wives are not really submitted to what, our position is as being a helpmeet. And I understand, because coming out of the world, when you first start walking in Torah and you understand Torah and what it is that we're supposed to do as wives, it can be hard to kind of transition from, being, a lot of us women were the breadwinners. A lot of us was, the caretakers. We ran the household. A lot of us, we worked, we took care of the kids. We, brought home the bacon and everything. And now we've, got into Torah, and some of us are transitioning out of the workplace into becoming stay-at-home mothers, going that way, stay-at-home mothers. And even though we're doing it in action and it look good, is our heart really submitted to the role that God has laid out for us? Now, I'm not saying like, telling people, oh, quit your job and be a housewife. I'm not saying that. But, some women may have to work, some, may have the choice to stay home. Some of your husbands may be like, hey, babe, I'd like you to stay home and, raise the kids. I'll take care of everything. But, sometimes, and I'm going to use myself for an example. Because my husband said, hey, you know what? I want you to start working. I want you to be home with kids. We have small ones. And I was like, okay, yeah, I really want. I preached this whole thing. Yeah, I want to be home with the kids. I want to be a housewife. I want to do all of that. And once I started doing that, and things going good. Hey, I'm home with the kids. I'm excited about, but when trouble rise, because you don't have that extra income, you tend to, get shaken in what you've chosen. And, you start to look back to, hey, when I was working, we had that extra income. I could bring this to the table. I could bring that to the table. And why did I have to stop working? And then you start being angry, and then you start being resentful. And because you're not, really submitted to the role of, being, the stay-at-home mother, or being his helpmeet, or, really, being the nurturer, raising the kids. So however, whatever, what the role is for us as women. And, sometimes you have like one hand in the past and one hand in the future. And even though you got one hand, you thinking that you're looking towards the future, you're still holding on to things in the past. Like when trouble, say, you get financial debt, and your husband's like, oh, it's gonna be okay, but you're like, man, if I still was working, if I this, then we went, because you get scared, you're shaking in your faith, you're not really trusting Yahuwah, you're not really trusting what Yah has, laid out for you. You're not fitting comfortably in that position that Yah has for you. You're squirming, you're squiggling, you're unsure, you're like, what if? You're still looking to the past because it looks greener back there, because you're thinking about all the things that you was able to bring to the table, and you're forgetting about how you were tired, how you had to come home and deal with the kids, how you had to pay to see. Sometimes the enemy present what you thought was good to you and make you forget about the things that, really bothered you about what was going on in the past, and you're sitting there. It's just illusion. It's just an illusion. See, the past look greener and the future seems to look dull to you because you're not settled into what you're supposed to do. So you're sitting here and you're looking and you're like, man, it just don't seem, like we're gonna make it or whatever. And you really have to be settled. You really have to listen to the ruach when it comes to things like that. Because what if your husband, and this goes back to 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1 through 4. What if your husband, comes home one day and like, man, things are just getting bad, and I don't know about this, and baby, it's just our future don't look bright or whatever, and you're still not trusting Yah as the wife, and he's having all these doubts and all these fears of what's gonna go on, what's taking place, and you start to try to give him wisdom, but because you're torn and you're not settled in a position that Yah has for you, you think that you're speaking wisdom to your husband, but you're really speaking what you think is right. You're speaking from a past mindset.
Yep.
You're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I agree with that, because you know what, honey, when I was working, we had all this money, we had all these things, we had these cars, these houses, this, that, and the other. I was able to bring this, and I was able to do that. But are you really listening to the ruach? Are you really submitted? Because if you were, you would speak faith to your husband. You will reassure him that Yah has you. You will reassure him that Yah is in control. You will be that mouthpiece for Yah when he's not really relying on the word. He's just going and, relying on what he's, his flesh, or how he's feeling, his emotions. And you're sitting there reconfirming his fears because you're already doubting. You're not already fully submitted to what Yah has for you. You're not fitting in your position comfortably. You're like a double-minded man. You have a mixture in you. You have to be completely surrendered. You have to walk, stand on faith, stand on his word. If Yah has called you to be home, if Yah has called you to, sit home with the kids, or whatever position he has called you, whether it's, to bring the word, or is it to, start some type of ministry, or whatever he's called you to do. You cannot linger in the past and be like, man, I'm going to go this way, but I'm going to look back to the past a little bit. I'm still holding on to the ashes. I'm still holding the ashes. You can't make anything out of ashes. You can't do anything with ashes. They're just that, ashes. It's all burnt up. It's destroyed. It's good for nothing. But you're holding on because you're reminiscing about what goes on in the past. So then you become angry. Then you become resentful. Then you feel with regret, and your expectation of things going wrong. You're expecting disappointments. You're expecting, the worst to happen. And as soon as something bad happened, you're reconfirming those doubts and those fears. Okay, and and my next point: once we accept the will of Yahuwah, we will become comfortable in our position, and then you can have true shalom in your house. It may be hard, because it was hard for me. It's times when things got tough, and I'm just like, man, I'm just finna go get me a job. I'm just finna, just forget it. Not thinking of the kids, not thinking of how they like that their mom is home, not thinking that I'm homeschooling them, I'm teaching them this is what my husband wants me to do. Just acting off of doubts and fears, and I'm just gonna read a little bit of what I wrote here. At times, most of us can't fit comfortably in our positions because we are always in expectation of things going wrong, looking for the next disaster that will reconfirm our fears. We may even feel unloved by our spouse, and when in actuality, he may be doing all he can to love us, but because we have been hurt in the past or have experienced false love, we are unsure or cannot recognize true love. Some of us don't trust the process because it doesn't fit our blueprint. We would rather drive than be driven. Influence of the wrong friends and family can alter your outlook on life, on the life you live for Yahuwah. And I'm going to start right there, because that also plays a part. You may be, around friends and family, and you're like, hey, I'm getting ready to quit my job, and I'm getting ready to stay home and raise these kids. And they're like, girl, you crazy. What you gonna do? You should never let out. I heard a lot of women, said, you stupid if you decide to sit and let a man take care of you. Are you stupid if you stay home? What if something happened and that man, he can leave you, or you gotta have your own. You gotta secure your own. No one said that you can't, bring in extra income. No one said that. But if you have the right man, if Yah has put what Yah has put together, and this man is truly following the word and he loves, you don't have to worry about that. Sometimes friends and family can speak, death over your marriage, death over your situation, just because they are afraid or they're speaking from fear or they have no faith. Sometimes you have to be careful who you surround yourself around. If they're not speaking life over your situation, or they're not supportive, if they're not even walking in Torah, and that plays a major part, then sometimes you got to distance yourself from those people. It's better to do what Yah says than to listen to man. Especially your husband is your head. If he's asking you, hey, babe, I think, I want you to stay home and, raise the kids or, do, that's between you and him. And if family and friends can't be supportive, then, oh, well, you know what? And some of the friends and families who is advising you, their life is already jacked up. They're living in the past. They're more concerned about what's going on in the world than living a spiritual life. They're more concerned with how it looks to other people than pleasing Yah. And let's be honest, a lot of things that we do, a lot of things that we buy, houses, clothes, cars, sometimes not for us. It's to please other people. The world frowns, a lot of the world frowns on women who stay home and raise their kids. They're like, oh, that's not an accomplishment. That's nothing. But if a lot of us would take time and, nurture our kids, and I understand if you can do that. I understand if you don't have somebody who's supporting you. I understand if you're single, you do what you can, but for those of us who have decided and have made, and basically I'm speaking more to those who have made this decision and who are still doubting, whether we made the right decision, we should, not listen to those who are not supportive, who's not walking the same walk you're walking, who don't understand, because a lot of it is because they don't want a man to control them. And control is such a word that is like that. I mean, you're saying control, they see it as a man who's control. If you have a man controlling, hey, I don't, I understand that. But they see it as being controlled, as they have no say in anything, as if they're just like a slave. Well, that's not how Yah has it set up. You're to help me. You're to help me. The husband listens to the wife, it's vice versa. But the man is the head of the household. So if you're not submitted to the man, and you're not submitted to what he wants, how are you submitted to Yah? Because Yah is the head of the man.
Yep.
So you can't say that you're submitted to Yah and you're not submitted to your husband. You can't be in fear. You can't say that you trust Yah to take care of you, and that man is following Yah, and you are not sure, not faithful. You're not having faith that this man is going to take care of you, the man who's following the word of Yah. You're surrounding yourself with people who have more of a worldly view than who are being spirit led.
So that comes with, having the right friends, because the Bible is, we always got to put scriptures for us to do this so people can see. It says,
you almost said, wise man chooses his friends carefully. Proverbs 12:26.
This is what wisdom speaks in everything. A wise man chooses his friends carefully. make wise decisions as friends. Why? Because also it ties in with principle. Without counsel, purposes are disappointing, but in a multitude of counselors, there are established, or there's even also there is safety. In a multitude of counselors,
they are established.
It's safety. There's another one, like also Proverbs 11. There it is. See, Proverbs 11. Whereas counsel is the people. Where there's no counsel is, the people fall. But in a multitude of counsel, there is no safety. So
there is safety.
Right, there is safety. So look at this. Where no counsel is. So if you have friends who have no counsel, you're not safe. You have people whose mind is not. Counsel only comes from Yahuwah. Why? Because he is the mighty counselor. So if you have friends that lacks the Ruach HaKodesh, you have no counsel. So all their advice is not coming from truth. It's coming from what we've been talking about, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is sin.
There you go. So, I guess my message is sort of like two parts, because leaving from the safety of, Abraham, safety of, y'all detaching yourself from your blessing, how Lot did. But what if Lot's wife was listening to the Ruach? She could have probably persuaded him differently. None of this probably would have been, even though Sodom and Gomorrah probably would have still gotten destroyed. They wouldn't have been in the way. First, he wouldn't have been held captive. He wouldn't have been captive, by that war that happened. And then he went back. What if his wife was really speaking to him, and we don't know if she was or wasn't, but what if she was like, hey, we just came out of this situation. Why would we go back over there? Let's find some other land to live in. It's just too much going on over there. Those people are wicked. They do abominable things. And if you read about the city of Sodom and Gomorrah in the book of Jasher, it goes into detail about things that they have done. Like one story about the man who hit I forgot his name. In the book of Jasher, he hit the guy in his head, and he said, you should pay me because when I hit you in the head, I spilled out the bad blood. And he took him to court, and the court made him pay him. Now that's wicked. That is beyond wicked. I injure you and you got to pay me because my injury, through me injuring you, it did you a favor. No, that city was wicked. So this is what I'm saying. If we are able to fit comfortably in a position that Yah has for us, and we surrender to the will of Yah, and let the Ruach come into us, we could be that wise counsel for our husband. When he's not listening to the word, if he becomes frustrated, if there's doubt that comes in, this is a partnership. This is a marriage, is a ministry. We're not bringing 50-50 to the table. We're bringing all or nothing. And that's how it goes. So when I say that, fitting comfortably in your position, I'm saying, hey, surrender to the will of Yah. Don't worry about what everyone else outside is saying. Don't look to the past, because what Yah has, your future, is way better than what's gonna, what was in your past. We just have to be sure in it. We have to be sure. We have to really trust Yah. And if you're still holding on back, got one hand in the past and one hand in the future, you're not trusting Yah. You're double-minded. You're not walking in faith.
Yep.
You still have a plan B. Your past is your plan B. It's like, well, I can go back to the things that I used to do. I can go back to work. I could do this. I could do that. Now, I'm not saying if things get tough and your husband like, hey, babe, things are getting tough, and you know, and y'all sit down and y'all talk, and y'all decide together, and you go back to work. That's fine. You know, I'm not here to tell you how to run your household. I'm just, you know, giving from my perspective. Y'all had to, you know, really discipline me in that area. He had really, you know, had to come down on me, because I'm just like, man, I took my eyes off of y'all, and I'm looking around like, you know, I can go back to work and, you know, bring in some extra income, and, you know, all the things, and, you know, and really, like I said earlier, I wasn't thinking about, you know, how this would affect everybody. I was thinking more about me. It was coming from a selfish, you know, a selfish place. I wasn't thinking about my family, wasn't thinking about my kids. And sometimes, you know, it's hard, especially homeschooling your kids, especially for me, because I'm just like, I'm not a teacher. I don't know what I'm doing, but I trust y'all, and it's been working. I just need to really trust the process. I really need to, you know, stand on faith. I really need to, you know, pray a lot, talk to y'all, do what you have to do. So, is there anything you have to say?
No, that sounds good. I mean, like I said, say a lot, but I'm not trying to. It's actually gonna be. This is good.
I guess my husband's trying to push me out there, so he don't want to say a lot, so I can get comfortable. You know, because I'm not comfortable doing this, but, you know, hey, I am obedient to y'all. He gave me this, and this was good. Like I said, the first part was, you know, detaching yourself from your blessings. And hey, that ties into this, because if I decide, this right here is my blessing. Me being home, it's a blessing to be home to raise my kids, our children. It's a blessing to be home to nurture them, not sending them off and letting the world put all type of ideas in their head. I can detach myself from this, go back out into the workforce, and leave our kids in someone else's hands, and let them put all kind of ideas. So not only am I at work, you know, battling the workforce, I'm trying to come home and you know, rid them of all these worldly ideas out there. Now I got 2 battles going on, and I'm stressed out. You know, then I'm mad, and then I'm probably taking it out on my husband and my kids, and just not, you know, all because I didn't surrender to the will or the call of Yah. So, you know, this is my message. Fitting comfortably in your position, trusting Yah, not detaching yourself from your blessing. And that's basically it. That's all I have. This is short and sweet. I hope I ain't rambling too long, but, you know, it's just short and sweet. So I hope you guys got something out of it. Questions, comments, share. Subscribe to my page, Tora Harder. I'm going to try to do more videos. Well, I am going to do more videos. I have another teaching coming up that y'all gave me also. And we'll let you know when that comes. I don't know if I might do that. I'm not going to say I'm not going to commit to when I'm going to do it. But it's going to come up soon. And I hope you get something out of that as well. And I'll get better at this, speaking in front of people and or on camera or however. But I hope you got something out of it. I hope that this has helped someone who's unsure about their future when it comes to something God has called them to do, or, you know, they're still holding on to the past and to let go, because once you let go of the past, the illusion of the past will become dull, and the future will come brighter, and you will be able to see with clearer eyes as to where Yah is leading you. So, shalom, everyone. I hope you're blessed, and hope you have a very good Shabbat. I hope there's shalom on this Shabbat for you. So, shalom.
Shalom.
See you later. Stop.